Hi, it's Barry Neal again here. In this video, I'm going to show you a really powerful technique that you can use with your clients, not just one-on-one, but also over Zoom. A lot of times people, because of the new way of working, kind of struggle with some of the techniques they're used to using because they don't necessarily work all that well over Zoom. But this is a really powerful technique that you can use one-on-one and over Zoom and get fantastic results with. And it can work with things like anger or worry or anxiety, depression, frustration, all these kind of like hot emotions that people get from time to time. And it works so well to really nullify those effects. It's such a powerful technique that there are some versions of this that are actually being taught as a complete training with some very interesting letters and acronyms for their particular therapy. But you know, you don't have to spend all that money to try and to train with those sorts of things, because this is the basic of how it works. And when you understand this, you're going to be able to use this in all sorts of things to change people's emotional reactions to various things that happen in their life. And what it's called the hot button, cool button technique. So it's the hot button, cool button technique. I say it really works so well, not just one-on-one, but particularly over Zoom, because as I say, so many techniques that people are comfortable with don't necessarily translate all that well over Zoom. This does, and it's also something that you can teach your clients to use as homework so that they can use it on a daily basis and really begin to create long-term changes for themselves so that the change becomes generative. Personally, I don't want clients coming to see me for months and months. I want to teach them a certain set of skills and techniques, get most of the work done, and for them to go away and really train that into their nervous system. This is the perfect technique to help them to do it. So let's look at it. So first of all, like everything else, you want them to associate to the problem. Step one in every successful technique that I teach is you have to, without a shadow of a doubt, associate the client to the problem. So what we want to do in this situation is we want to get them to think about the context, think about the problem they want to change, and really begin to think about it. So we get them to think about whatever the response is that they want to change. And we want to get them associated. Really important that they get associated. Now you can have them just sitting there with their talking to them and say, okay, I want you to really think about this particular problem, think about the response, maybe close your eyes and really get into the experience and see what you saw, hear what you heard. Go right back into that experience. So you want to get them fully associated into it. Then, once they're fully associated into it, and remember again, you want to pick a specific context. If someone says, you say to them, what's the problem? They go, I have anxiety. And you go, great, I'll try and work with the whole thing like that. You're going to run into problems. So you need to find a specific context. Where are they responding in that way? So you go, okay, so you have anxiety. Yeah, I have anxiety. Okay. Tell me a specific time where you have that anxiety. Well, I have it all the time. I say, great. So it won't be hard for you to pick one particular context where you have it. So what's one of the most recent contexts you've had this particular problem? Oh, it was 2 days ago. I went into my boss's office. He said something to me and I felt this panic. Great, perfect. Pick that one. So have them think about the response that they want to change. Make sure they're fully associated into it. Then what we want to have them do is for them to mentally step out. Now, what is this doing? Well, if you remember the meta pattern, this is, we've associated them to the problem. Now we need to dissociate them from the problem. Step 2 in every successful therapy. So we want them to step out, and then we want them to mentally run the movie of that context, that scenario, back slowly. So we want them to run it back slowly. And what we're doing is we want them to find the trigger. So what we do is get them to move one frame back at a time until they get to the trigger. So have them keep moving back until they get the response. So they find the specific thing that causes the response. Then what we do is have them move one frame back even further. So now they found the trigger. So let's write this down. So let's say here they are, there's the event. We have them go back, they find the trigger. We then want them to go one step further back before the actual response. So we want them right there at that point, okay? And then we want to have them imagine a red button on their left knee. Does it have to be their left knee? No, it could be their right knee, but the key is you need to make sure that you have one button on one knee and one button on the other knee. So, and if you're working with clients over a period, I find it's always better to try and just stick to red button on the left knee, the other button on the other knee. That way, if you're seeing them another session, then you haven't got to think, you know, what button did I put it, what knee did I put it on? I don't know, I can't remember. So stick with one and it makes life so much easier. So we have them move that frame backwards just to the point where they're before the actual response. Then they imagine there's a red button on their left knee and have them imagine pressing on that red button. Yeah. And what we're doing is we're linking those two things together. So we're creating an anchor. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. So now having done that, step 3, we break the state. So how do you break the state? There's loads of ways you can do that. You could have them just open their eyes, look around the room. You could say something that's not related to what's going on. You could direct their attention. You could say, okay, I just want you to put your attention down to the shoes on your feet and notice the texture and the temperature of the shoes on your feet. Have them do that. Okay, great. You've broken the state. You've got them out of the negative feeling. Now, then we want to do is we're now going to associate them to the resources. Again, step in the meta pattern. So what we want you to do is have them take 2 or 3 breaths. And close their eyes. And tell them to relax. And go down to a really wonderful, enjoyable state. So we're not doing any formal induction, we just tell them to take out deep breaths, close their eyes, just allow themselves to relax and just go down to a wonderful, beautiful, enjoyable state, wonderful, peaceful, wonderful, relaxed state. Then we want to intensify that. And easy way of doing that is we spin the feelings. So we say to them, okay, now notice where this wonderful feeling of enjoyment of comfort starts. Notice where it spreads to. And notice which way it's turning. I want you to just begin to spin that a little bit faster. And as you do, notice how this wonderful feeling of enjoyment, of comfort begins to spread throughout your body so that every single cell and muscle and fiber of your body is beginning to be bathed with this wonderful feeling of calmness, of enjoyment. So really dress it up with your language. Don't go too far. We just want them associated into that wonderful feeling. And we spin the feeling. Then, as the state peaks, we then have them imagine a green button on their right knee. And then have them push it. So they've got the green button on their right knee, and in their imagination, or actually do it physically, have them push down on their right knee. Imagine pushing that green button, and they go deeper into this feeling. And notice that each time they push the button, this feeling intensifies. It gets stronger and stronger. They feel more calm, more relaxed, more enjoyable, whatever the resource state you're going for. So every time they press the green button, these feelings they intensify, double them again, really intensify these feelings. Use all your tonality to ease out every single bit of that state. Really use your tonality, because remember, your tonality is also part of the anchor. So then, once we've done that, and they press the button on their right knee several times, and they've intensified the state, we've linked those two things together, we've now got a powerful resource anchor on that knee. So we've got the negative anchor, the red one on the left knee, we've got the positive anchor, the resource anchor, the green anchor on their right knee. Now, we have them then open their eyes, and then they fire the red button, on their left knee, and then immediately fire the green button. Immediately fire the green button and hold both. So now they're firing both buttons at the same time. So they hold both. And you as the therapist, you're calibrating and you're watching for the integration, because what you've got here now is a collapse anchors. Then have them, once you've seen the integration, have them release the red button, hold the green, and then as they're holding the green, what you want them to do is then to mentally run through that situation, how them responding differently. So have them run through that entire situation with them responding differently. So whatever the situation was, they are now feeling far more resourceful, and have them go through that situation differently. So run through the response. How they would like to have been, how they'd like to do it, how they would like to be different. So really get them to imagine going through it totally differently. So this is really, really important. So we're really putting in a new way of responding. We're putting this into the neurology. So we really want to get them to imagine it as best they can. And there's a couple of keys to that. Make sure that you shift the representational systems. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, if you're trained in NLP, you'll understand that. Basically, you've got our five senses. The main ones we're looking for are the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So if the previous response was an image, i.e. a visual component, then we want to make sure we end up with a really, really strong feeling. Looks like the pen's running out, so we want to have a really, really strong feeling. So that's what we want to do. So if it starts with an image, in the old situation, we want to end up with a strong feeling. If it was a feeling, have them picture the old feeling flying off into the distance. So I hope you get that. So what we're doing is we're changing the representational system. If the original way they thought about the problem was a picture, we have it end with a feeling. If it was a feeling, we have them picture that old feeling going off into the distance. So we're changing the representational system. Then we want to condition that in. So we're going to repeat that 4 to 6 times. at least. So have them open their eyes, press the red button, press the green button, hold both, watch for the integration, remove the red button. As they hold the green button resource, have them imagine how they would respond to that situation totally differently, being much more resourceful, whatever it is. Have them really go through that situation totally differently. Yep. And then, and again, make sure they change the rep systems. Then break the state, really important. Once you've done a piece of work like that, you need to break the state and then do it again. So then break the state, what do your shoes feel like on your feet? What's the temperature of your shoes on your feet? Okay, great. Now imagine press the red button, press the green button, hold both, remove that one. Imagine going through that situation totally differently. Do that 4, 6, 7 times until you see it happen automatically. And so how you do that is you go, great, now I want you to think about that situation. Tell me what happens. Notice how you're responding differently. And it should be impossible for them to get the old response back, even try and think about it in the same way, because you're conditioning in a new way of thinking. And you're literally wiring this into their nervous system. So it's a really, really powerful thing. Then finally, we future pace it. So what does that mean? Well, we just take them out into the future. So I want you to imagine a time from now, maybe a week from now, a month from now, and I want you to imagine yourself in a situation where if this is a situation that had happened in the past, you would have responded in that old way, but now notice what happens. So you get them to imagine the next time you're with your boss and notice how you're responding differently. Now imagine the next time and the next time, and we want to really condition that in. Now we say to them, now I want you to look from this position in the future, I want you to look back on what it was like to have made these changes. And as you look back, you might be surprised at how quickly you've made these changes. And as you begin to look forward now to a bright, new, compelling future, that you filled it with all the things you want to fill it with. So now we're going to dress it up and future pace it and take it out into the future and use sort of generalization type suggestions that they will continue to make these changes. And by doing that, it then starts to go, the change becomes generalized. So it's not just in just one context. We want to generalize it into other areas. So there you go. It's a really, really powerful technique that you can use with all sorts of clients, with all sorts of issues. I've used this with clients with sexual problems like performance anxiety, like premature ejaculation. I've used it with other types of anxiety, like against performance anxiety with sports people, with public speakers. I've used it with people with anger issues, with depression. It is such a useful technique because you are literally taking that response, taking it slightly back before the trigger and then hardwiring in a new way of responding using a sort of collapse anchors process to really, really hammer in the change. And then all we're doing is conditioning it. So this is a really powerful technique. I hope you get some value out of it. It is such a cool thing you can use over the internet because it gives you so many options. Whereas, if you're trying to do a normal collapse anchors or something like that, it's kind of difficult to do that kinesthetically over the internet. But certainly this makes it life so much easier. So have some fun with it. I will always be posting more videos on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and like the video if you like it, obviously. And I'll see you soon. So great. I hope to see you soon. Some of the webinars I do are on live in-person trainings, but please remember to like and subscribe the video. Thank you.